कभी आपने ये डांट सुनी है? और नालायक, कभी अपना पूरा दिमाग भी लगा लिया कर? Have you ever thought what % of your brain do you use? You must have come across reports, studies saying that we only use 10% of our brain. That's absolutely a myth. हमारे ब्रेन का हर एक पार्ट हर पल एक्टिव रहता है. Majority of the time, the cerebellum, visual cortex and the brainstem is active. Even when we are sleeping, हमारे emotional part and हमारा memory वाला part, that's active. We use 100% of our brain. So next time, if somebody scolds you that, tell them, I use 100% of my brain.
Marine biology fact of the day. Today we're going to be learning about the stoplight loosejaw fish. It is a species of dragonfish that lives deep, deep down in the ocean, so you're not going to meet it. This is what it looks like from the front, and from the side, that is what it looks like. You can see that it has no soft palate, so this is completely open. And a fascinating way that this creature hunts is using bioluminescence, which you can see right here is that little red dot under its eyes. So what most fish can't do is see red light. This fish produces red light and can also see red light. So the way it hunts is it has invisible flashlights. So that's like being in the pitch black and then a predator can see you and you have no idea that you're completely exposed. So that's terrifying. Also, it has razor sharp needle-like teeth to hook things in, and its jaw hinges closed and pulls it back into its throat where it's digested, potentially alive sometimes. So yes, the ocean is terrifying.
Organs you can live without, part 6. You don't need a bladder to get rid of your waste. You might think it's impossible to survive without a bladder. After all, everyone needs to expel their waste products, right? Well, it turns out the bladder is actually often removed either because of cancer or some inflammatory disorders. So when a person has a bladder removed, they may need to wear a special bag attached to the outside of their abdomen that can remove urine, like a stoma bag called a urostomy. This allows urine to constantly drain from the body. In some cases, surgeons can construct a brand new bladder using tissue from small intestine. This can then hold the urine after passing through the kidneys, just like a normal bladder.
6 crazy orca whale facts you definitely didn't know. Number 1, orca whales are one of the only animals on the planet to have no natural predators. Number 2, besides humans, they are the most widespread mammal on the entire planet. Number 3, female orca whales are one of the few mammals besides humans to actually go through menopause. Number 4, orca whales don't have a sense of smell at all, which is really weird. Number 5, baby orca whales are about 8 feet long and 400 pounds at birth, which is a big baby. Number 6, in the wild they can live to be over 100 years old, with the oldest recorded orca whale at 103 years.
Horsepower has got to be one of the stupidest units of measurement in the entire world. When you buy a car and somebody tells you this car has 160 horsepower in it, you assume that that means that the engine is producing the power of 160 horses to pull the car forward. But no, 1 horsepower is actually defined as the force that it takes to lift 550 pounds 1 foot in the air in 1 second. It was developed back in the 18th century by this guy named James Watt, the namesake of the SI unit of power, the watt. But it isn't even defined in SI units, so you convert it and you calculate it and you find out that it's actually like 745.7 watts, and then you're a biologist and you know a thing or two about horses and you have a real bad insomnia. So you do the math and you find out that on average, a horse running at full gallop is producing about 15 horsepower. So take whatever you think you know about your car and divide that by 15, and then go back to that dealership and say, hey, you sold me a 160 horsepower car, you only sold me 10.67 horses. Where are the rest of my horses?
STEM majors, let's go around the room and tell everybody something we understand but absolutely refuse to accept. I'll go first. I totally understand, theoretically, how an airplane flies. Not even theoretically, how it does fly. I get it. I get the difference in pressure over the wings. I get the wing design. It totally makes sense to me. However, I absolutely refuse to accept the fact that planes can fly. It just doesn't click in my head. Like the math works out, the physics checks out. I get it. I totally get it. But I refuse to accept that it's happening, okay? So I want someone to tell me their thing that they fully understand but absolutely refuse to accept.
The most painful experience a human could possibly ever have is being burned alive. And that's because your nervous system will trigger the flight or fight response, which prevents you from fainting. Hence, you'll feel every single ounce of pain up until all of your nerve fibers are completely burned out. Childbirth is the second most painful experience.